I'm Mr. Mulholland, and I'm going to be giving you a short introduction to SolidWorks. I'm using the 2020 version, but if you're using the 2019 version or earlier versions, this should still work the same. So the first thing we need to do is maybe create a new part. To do that, what we do is we go up to the top and see this little page icon. We click it and it brings up this box, and we choose part, and then we click OK. This brings up something that should look very similar to my screen. There's a few things you need to be aware of before we get started. Alongside here, we have what you call your feature tree, and this basically gives us all types of information about our part or our drawings. Along the top, we have our different types of tools. So we have sketch tools, we have feature tools, and we have evaluate tools. These are probably what you'll be using most. In the center, we have our build area. This is where we do everything that will make our part. The first thing before I start, I like to do is I like to check to make sure we're using millimeters as our units. So to do that, we go down to the side here and we click on this little box and we click on millimeters, grams, second, or the mmgs. Another way of doing this is we go up to the top and see this little cog. We click on the little cog and then we click on document properties and we click on units and we choose mmgs and then we click OK. So what we're going to make today is we're going to make a little cube. The first thing we need to do is we need to think about a cube as a 2D shape. So to do that, what we do is we click on sketch. This brings up something that should look similar to this. All these little blue boxes are different planes. Your plane is where you're drawn on. This is where you do all your work from. I like using the top plane. It's not a big issue if you choose the wrong plane, although sometimes it's a bit easier if you choose the right plane. So I like working off the top plane, so I'm going to choose the top plane. This will bring up this type of view when you click on top plane. This little red arrow is what we call our origin. What I like to do from our origin is draw a couple of lines to give us starting point. So to do this, we go up to the line tool, we click the little drop down arrow and we click on center line. Then you go to the center of your origin. When you're at it, there'll be a little green or a little orange dot, and we draw a line straight up. And you know it's straight because it has that little yellow box beside it. And then I like to draw another line from the center out to the side. Now it doesn't matter which side, but as long as it has that little yellow box again. When we've done this, we hit escape on our keyboard, and that means we're done using that too. So if we're going to make a cube, the first thing we need to do is think about it as a 2D shape. And what is a 2D version of a cube? Yeah, you're right, it's a square. So the first thing we need to do is draw a square. Now to do that, we go up to the top in our sketch tools and we choose corner rectangle. And then we click on the center of the origin and we go out to the side. Now it doesn't really matter how big at this point that you draw your rectangle. So I'm just going to draw it there, and then we click again, and then we click the little tick inside. So we have our rectangle. Now what we need to do is we need to make it a square. Now how do we do that? We use Smart Dimension to make all the sides the same length. So to do that, we click on Smart Dimension, and then we click on whichever side we're looking to change. So I'm going to start at the top side. So you click on it and then you click again and it brings up a box that looks something like this. And what we need to do is we need to delete that number using backspace. And then we're going to make a 20 by 20 millimeter square. So we type in 20 and then we click the tick. We'll do the exact same thing for the other side. So 20 and then hit the tick. When we have this, what we do is we can click the little tick on the dimension, and look now, what have we got on our feature tree? We've got a new sketch on our feature tree, which is this cube. What we're going to do is we're going to make this 2D cube 3D. Now how we do that is we use our features, and we're going to use extrude boss base. So we're going to make a 20 by 20 by 20 millimeter squared cube. So to do that, we select the extrude boss base, and we go down to this little box here. This is our depth box. This basically sets how far out we want our cube to go. So we're going to type in 20 again in here, and then we're going to hit the tick, and we're going to hit the tick again, and there we go, we've got our cube. But something strange has happened. We're now looking at our cube in a bit of an isometric view. We're not looking at it straight on anymore. So if we want to look at it straight on, what we're going to do is we're going to click spacebar. This will bring up this little faces. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the face we want to look at. So if you can click the top, the sides, or you get these little angled ones. And these are basically showing different angled views. But for the time being, I'm going to click the top side. Almost forgot another way of changing our view is if you're looking at it side on, or you want to look at it side on, what you can do is if you click the mouse wheel and drag it, you can customize what view you're looking at your cube in. To get this far, we used what we call additive manufacturing techniques. This is where you add material to make something. What we're going to do now is we're going to use what we call subtractive manufacturing techniques. So if you think of additive manufacturing techniques similar to using a 3D printer, subtractive manufacturing techniques might be using a saw or a hammer and chisel. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a little bit out of this cube. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our sketch tools, and we're going to click the sketch button. Now what we need to do is choose the face we want to cut off. So I'm going to choose the top face. You can choose whatever face you want. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little cube in the corner. So using the line tool, I'm just going to draw a little cube again. And I want this cube to be 5 millimeters by 5 millimeters. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to use the Smart Dimension tool again. I'm going to click, I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to type 5, hit the little green arrow, do the same thing from the other side, 5, click the little green arrow. But now we have an issue. This line here is not joined to the top line, and this line here is not joined to this line at all either. How do we fix this? Well, what we do is we hold Shift and we click on the edge of this line. See the little orange bubble? We click on that, and then we click on the line we want. So we want that one. And now over here, you see coincident, we click on coincident. And that basically pulls them two lines together. So now we have this. What we want to do is we want to cut. So we go to features, instead of sketch, we go to features, and we choose extrude cut. And we click on the box we want to cut. Now, we're going all the way through, but maybe I only want to go halfway. So we have 20 millimeters here, which is the total depth of the cube. Now, I know that half of 20 is 10, but sometimes it's not as easy as that. So what you can do in SolidWorks is we can use a formula to calculate depth. So what you do is we know it has a total depth of 20 millimeters. So we type in 20, and then we use the slash sign to divide. and we're going to say 20 divided by 2, and if we click the tick, see, it works it out as 10. And if we click the tick again, it'll cut that little cube 10 millimeters down our big cube. So there you go, you've got our first part. Maybe what you want to do now is you want to give it a bit of colour or a bit of material. So what we can do is we go over to this side and look for the little globe that says appearances, scenes and decals. And if you click on that, you can click on appearance colour, and I want to make it a metal cube. So I click on metal and brings down this little drop down menu. And what type of metal do I want it to be? Well, maybe I want it to be gold. So if I click on gold, what I can do is I click on the material and drag it over. I can apply that to the whole body. So to do that, you make sure you click the one that says body. And that means that cube is now made of gold. So now we've made our first part. What you want to do is you want to save it. Now to do that, you hit File, Save As, and you choose what you want to save it as. So I'm going to call this cube. And make sure you save it as a Solidworks part .prt. And when it's saved, that's us.